Okay. Yeah, my origin story is a little bit more convoluted. I don't know.
Well, it
I
may be because see, I wanted to be a story writer from the beginning. I've everything that I did was in service of that goal.
yeah, and I had to kind of discover what I wanted to do, and in retrospect, like it was all there, but I just didn't realize it. Um, I grew up in a family of well, my dad's an engineer. My two older brothers are like these big computer nerds, and and of course, just by being in that environment, because I think like when I was shortly after I was born, we actually had a TI 99 for a PC or personal computer, which is basically a computer that plugged into your TV set. It had a keyboard and a cartridge slot on the side, and you know, had a speech synthesizer, and we would play like Parsec and all these games on that thing. And so I think like my life pretty much evolved around video games for quite a while. Um, as far as like, I think I did actually get in band for a little bit to learn how to play the flute, which only lasted a few weeks because I kept on hyperventilating.
Yeah,
So
I played the flute for 4 years, man. So
yeah, so I was like, I can't play an instrument. I mean, this feels like work.
it's funny that the instrument you played is the same one that I played, and it's one that usually guys don't play. So I was
Yeah,
actually kind of surprised to find that out.
yeah. So I don't know. I was just I didn't do the flute thing for very long. I very quickly switched to piano because there was no hyperventilation involved, and I don't know. Maybe like the computer game keyboard type of thing that was just a pretty easy transition. I don't know. It just seemed easy because all the notes were there. I didn't have to do combination of finger presses to get a note. The piano just kind of made sense. Um, so while I was learning the piano, of course, I would play video games a lot. Our family did not own a console. We just owned PCs, so I didn't play Mario. I didn't play Zelda. I didn't play Chrono Trigger, which I've been scolded a lot because of that. Um,
I think
but
Brian's still scolding you over that.
he will still not forgive me for not playing it. I guess I
Don't,
need to finish it as part
don't
of
worry,
our
Glenn. I
agreement.
forgive you.
Yeah, you forgive me. Brian won't forgive me yet. Yeah, I got him to watch Avatar: Last Airbender, so I still need to play
The,
Chrono
the
Trigger.
cartoon series, not the movie, was
Um, but so I played a lot of. Oh, Descent was my all-time favorite game. Played a lot of stuff from Epic Mega Games, now known as just Epic Games, because I guess Epic and Mega are redundant. So Epic Games, One Must Fall, played that a lot. Unreal, played that a lot. And there's one game, Jazz Jackrabbit, that I really liked. And I think part of it was because of the music was just so awesome. I just loved the music. I would play the game just so I could listen to the music. And during this time, my brother, who was into programming and kind of introduced us to a lot of the demo scene. Um, like demos, like Unreal, and not to be confused with the video game Unreal, by the way. And just seeing what seeing what Future Crew and a lot of those demo groups were doing and the music they were creating, and we would play these songs with a Scream Tracker. And while I was reading the manual for Jazz Jackrabbit, because I think I recently was able to buy it back in the old days, where to buy software you had to mail get your game in the mail, because this was like shareware stuff. You would get the demo, like the first episode, from a bulletin board system. Man, this is so old school. Oh man, we connected with modems. There was like no real internet to speak of. It was just all bulletin board systems and
be doo.
yeah, um, yeah, and it was all just text based. Like you would log in, it's just text based.
I remember those. Oh
Yeah,
man. You,
yeah.
you know what? There's going to be a day when we tell our kids about those things, they're just going to look at us like a two heads. You are so old.
Well, people nowadays will probably say the same thing. I mean, I talk to computer nerds all the time who don't know what a BBS is, or I guess self-proclaimed computer nerds.
Well, what's funny is you talk to little kids now, and they don't know what a floppy disk is.
Yeah,
That's starting to make me feel old. Good word.
Yeah.
I remember all my stuff was on a floppy disk.
Yeah. So I was reading the manual for Jazz Jackrabbit, and the composer was Robert Allen, and it said that it was composed with Scream Tracker, and I was like, What? They composed that with Scream Tracker? That's what I used to play those songs with. I mean, really, I would just load them into Scream Tracker and just play the songs. I had no idea that's what they actually created that stuff with. And so then I, started poking around and realized, oh my goodness, I could have composed music just right here. It was right here, right in front of me. I had the software the whole time. And so then I started learning it. And I think at the time I was taking piano lessons. And as soon as I knew enough about reading music and playing, that I pretty much focused, I just focused on music composition. When I took private piano lessons, we didn't talk about performance. We talked about composition, which was actually bad, and I'll explain later. This is one of the big lessons that I learned in my life, but I'll get into that. So I went into composing music as quick as I could. I did my first 13 songs, which no one will ever hear. And I think just before getting into high school, I guess it was 1998. I think it was a little bit early, but let's see, when was it? Oh yeah, it was. Okay, so 1998, summer of 1998, I decided.
Sounds like 1998 was a good year.
It was a good year. I decided to, when I was pressured by my friend Eric to do this, to enter a demo scene music competition. It was called MC6, Music Competition 6. It was the 6th year that they've done this. And I wanted to enter into the veteran category. They had a beginners, intermediate, and veteran. I was most certainly a beginner, maybe intermediate, but I just wanted to see how well I would place. So I think at the time, Eric and I were creating a bulletin board system called a Nova Station or whatever. We had like this story about this Nova Station. This, we even did and I did like 100 ASCII art images for it. I'm trying to remember what BBS software we used to do it. I can't remember. It was too long ago.
I'm not familiar with those anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at them in years.
Yeah, so I did this song that was based on the bulletin board system, which was based on a story kind of a thing that we were doing. And I competed against like all these greats in the demo scene community, like Awesome, Siren, also known as Alexander Brandon, who did the music for Unreal, Deus Ex, Jazz Jackrabbit 2. Yeah, I just love I love Alexander Brandon's music. He's awesome. DNA Groove, Zaron, Wayfinder, all these people. I think I placed really low in the veteran category, but I wasn't last. I think I was like 12 above last or something. But yeah, and then I started doing more music after that. And looking back, I realized that the reason why I liked music is because it was kind of telling a story. And I think we also had an album, which is where I was inspired to do this music disc called Laserium, which I never did finish. I only did the first 2 songs out of 5. Let's see, what's his name? David Arkenstone. In the Wake of the Wind was an album that he released where you would open it up and it had this map of this island. And I think on the other side was like the story for every single one of these songs. So his albums were telling a story, and I was like, that is awesome. I want to do that. So I did, an album that was kind of telling a story about this guy who was escaping from prison or whatever. I think I actually sampled some things from The Fugitive for the sound effects for it, because there's like you hear the guys breaking out, and then there's like running, and then people on the helicopter, and yeah, all those samples, that was from The Fugitive. So I started taking music composition a little bit more seriously. I started taking music composition workshops at Cal Arts, because that's where we live, and then I did Ashen Skies, which was a song that was actually performed live, which I thought was just awesome. It was a piano, oboe, and cello piece. Oh, that was pretty cool. And the pianist was actually the guy that played the piano for the Beauty and the Beast soundtrack. So that was pretty cool. David Loeb. He was also the music teacher at Hart High School. So, and then I did Oceanscape, which is kind of like a little drum and bass techno type of a thing.
I've heard that song actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you showed me that one.
Yeah. So then after that, one of my goals, because you know how when you're growing up, people tell you to set goals or whatever, and I wanted to do music, and I wanted to do music for video games, and I would like to make video games. That was kind of my whole goal, was to make video games, and if I could do music for it, great. And so my goal is to do music for Epic, because I love that their music inspired me to be creative and to compose. And there's a particular project called One Must Fall Battlegrounds. It was a sequel to the original One Must Fall by Divergence Entertainment, and they broke off from Epic because Epic wanted to do other things. Epic started going out of the whole shareware industry, and I wasn't really interested in what with what One Must Fall was, which is a big robot fighting game. So I went on the forums and I did a lot of brown nosing. I composed a song called One Must Dance as kind of a tribute to One Must Fall, which was actually a pretty good song. But the music software that they were using, or the music sound system, was Direct Music, part of the DirectX library. And the only way to explain Direct Music is it was it had the it was like a MIDI sequencer and a tracker as far as its sample based, but it had the inconveniences of both. So what I actually ended up having to do is I ended up composing the song in Impulse Tracker, which was a next generation tracker that I started using later. I composed it in Impulse Tracker and then ported it over to Direct Music, which was a big pain in the butt. The song was called Sharp Edge, and it actually sounded pretty good. That got them to turn some heads. So that was kind of where my music career, if you could call it a career, my hobby, started to kind of decline a little bit.
You'd call it a career. It doesn't have to earn you money to be a career.
I suppose. Yeah.
Hey,
so
my writing career.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. We haven't actually released a story yet. We're working on it soon.
My point exactly.
Soon. So, and I think also during this whole One Must Fall Battlegrounds period, which I think lasted for about a year, me being pretty active on their forums, I also started learning some 3D software. And I think it might have been because my grandpa died at the time and my mind just needed something to do. So I started picking up 3D, which was like really super technical. It was probably the most difficult thing I could ever do. I doodled, but I didn't really draw. I had to get like my friends to draw for me. Like Matt Hare did the dancing logo guy for my album cover for One Must Dance, and Chris John did the illustration for my robot character that I wanted to have in One Must Fall universe. So I did a 3D model of that. I did a arena that used the textures from Unreal Tournament, which is another one of my favorite games. And so that's how I kind of started getting into it. And I think I actually was able to attend SIGGRAPH 1999. I went to SIGGRAPH because Chris's dad was was kind of in the industry and was able to get us in there. I think I had to pretend to be somebody else in order to get in, but SIGGRAPH was awesome.